Hello, welcome to Focus on Fantasy Romance, episode number 61. The podcast where we discuss book genre and your geeky lives. I'm your host, El Klaus.
And I'm AR Clerk when I remember to hit the unmute button.
I'm Paulina Woods.
I'm Amelia Faulkner.
Electrogatus.
Hey!
Isabel!
Hey, and she's already chimed in on the intro. Today we have Amelia Faulkner, who was super awesome enough to wake up in the middle of the night to join us, because she's in the UK. Hi, Amelia.
Hello!
My questions are always super simple because I go first. Why don't you introduce yourself to our listeners?
Hello, listeners. I'm Amelia Faulkner. I write horrible murders. Also romance, yes. Sorry, I forget there's romance. I write LGBT, supernatural, urban fantasy. Lots of people die. No. Move along, quick!
oh no! So, why don't you tell us a little bit about one of your paranormal romantic series?
Okay, so I have two main series. All my books are set in the same universe, which will become increasingly apparent as they go on. But I have the Tooth and Claw series, which is set in London, and I have the Inheritance series, which is mostly set in San Diego. And Tooth and Claw is, as the name would suggest, about a vampire and a werewolf. And the Inheritance series is about some psychics and magicians fighting evil and falling in love at the same time.
As you do.
As you do. So I've heard.
So have you been to San Diego? I mean, have you done any on-site research for your Inheritance series?
Funnily enough, I'm hoping to get to San Diego this year. Don't tell anyone I haven't been.
Internet.
Shh. Yeah. There's a lot of Googling, but also, thankfully, two of my beta readers have lived in San Diego. So they will correct me on things and they'll point out, this memorial exists here, and we have a water shortage and and all those things. So yeah, I rely on my beta readers to fix me until I get there myself.
Do you? So you have the two series. They're in the same fictional world. Do you have crossover planned?
Yes. Saying nothing more. I've got a lot of readers who are like, oh, does this mean so and so is going to appear in this series? And then I'm just like, la 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 la. You will kill me when it happens, but yes.
So you have fans that routinely contact you and be like, hey, when are you going to write so and so's book, or when's the next book out, or why aren't these people together? Or
yeah, and yeah, they desperately want to see characters from one series in the other series. I'm like, don't worry, it's coming. It's coming.
You can only write so fast.
Yeah, I know. Especially as I've given myself repetitive strain injury, so I really can't write so fast anymore.
Oh, have you tried dictation?
It doesn't work.
Oh.
Does not work for me. I ended up going to a friend's house and she sat me down in front of her computer and she went, right, well, you're going to talk into this microphone and it's going to work. So I sat there and I talked into the microphone and it went, bleh, bleh. And I'm just, really? And she sat there and she went, that's not possible. That's physically not possible. Dragon doesn't like the British.
I like the British.
Oh, that's okay.
Maybe you can just dictate into like a recording device and pay somebody. I don't know. It depends on how dedicated you are. I tried dictation and my thought processes were not.
Yeah, it did come out when it does manage to decipher my slurred, blurred words into some form of English. It does come out in an entirely different voice from if I'd be typing, and I'm just like, that's no.
Mm-hmm. I was listening to a podcast earlier this week, and she was mentioning about, Mary Rabbit at Cole was saying that depending on how you write, changes your voice a little bit. So if you're physically writing on paper, it slows you down. So it slows your brain down so that you can think ahead more and more cohesive. And then if you're dictating, it's more conversational. You've got a lot of passive think words and fillers. And I'm like, that's really, really interesting. And also why I almost always come back to typing on my computer.
Yep.
That's where I figured out my voice. So you write werewolves and vampires in the UK.
Yep.
And psychics and magicians in San Diego.
Yep.
Do you have any plans to cover more creative monsters? Dragons or unicorns or something off the wall like a hippocampus? I don't know.
Well, the books draw heavily from British mythology. So there are some more interesting creatures that show up from time to time. We have something in the very next Inheritance book, which is one of the readers has already recognized what it is from the cover, so I'm not spoiling anything here. But we are facing the black dog in the next book, which one reader is very excited about because she took a look at the picture and went, "Oh my god, it's the black dog!" And I'm like, "Yes!" Everyone else going, "What?"
Yeah, I've not heard that one. I like mythology, and I've not heard that one. What is the black dog?
So the black dog is a very widespread British legend. Almost everywhere in the UK has its own version of the black dog. So you've got the Black Shook, you've got the Barghest, which is where J.R.R. Tolkien got Barghests from, and regional variations exist. But basically, it's a huge, terrifying black dog with glowing red eyes that eats people. And if it follows you at night and you make eye contact with it, you're doomed. You're doomed. Yeah, but again, regional variations exist. But yes, we've got, what else have we had? We've had Black Agnes, who is again a folklore figure who eats children and wears their skin. So as you can tell, it's romance. I'm not good at romance. No, don't tell them that. So yeah, we've got Herne the Hunter is a recurring character. Morgan Le Fay is a recurring character. So yes, it's all very British.
So you said urban fantasy, so we're set in contemporary London and contemporary San Diego?
Yes.
Okay. I'm just asking because I like historical fantasy too, but so when you sit down to write a novel, let's talk about you as an author. Is there anything specific that you have to have? Like some people have to eat M&Ms and some people have to drink Dr. Pepper or
No, I don't believe in rituals. I think they hamper you. I think that if you convince yourself you can't work until you've had X criteria fulfilled, then that's just an excellent excuse not to work.
I would 100% agree with you. I use that excuse fairly often. Works out in my favor. So, are you a full-time writer?
Yes. Yeah. When my
Very
arm
cool.
works.
And do you have any education in creative writing, or did you come from another background?
Dun, dun, dun. I come from screenwriting.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, I've been in IT for donkey's years. And I realized about 15 years into that I really hate computers. So that was a great career choice. But yeah, so no, I initially began in screenwriting. I have a lot of friends in screenwriting, and then I realized that actually what I preferred was prose. And it was quite a step up with prose, because I used to write a lot of prose when I was a kid. I used to be an absolute pain in the ass to my English teacher because she would set homework every single week, and every single week I turned in about 20 pages of a story that was a continuation from last week. So she ended up with 2 years worth of story at the end of the course, because every homework she gave us was just 20 more pages of this story. And she would be like, that's not the homework I set you, A+. But yeah, so remembering that you have to actually describe things in prose was a bit of a tricky thing to start with, because I'm just like, well, that's up to the director. If you put anything in there that, because directors will be like, well, you don't tell me what to do, I'm the director. In prose, you've got to be like, no, actually, I'm the director now, and I can say what happens. It's a bit of an adjustment period.
I forgot what question I was about to ask. It's been a long week. So, as a full-time writer, I assume you set yourself a schedule.
Yep.
You write every single day. Do you take 2 days off a week? How do you manage your writing lifestyle?
I have come to realize over time that I cannot have 0 days. If I have a day that has no writing in it, it takes me several days to get back to writing. And I will fill that time with admin work. So, all the stuff that comes with running a business. But if I don't write at least 1,000 words a day, I will end up taking a week-long break and then wondering why my deadlines are so close. I get up 7:30, 8 in the morning, take the dog for a walk. She gets about an hour and a half, and then it's into the office all day. Sit down, work, have dinner about 6 o'clock in the evening, maybe continue working.
And we have this conversation quite a bit, both on the podcast and in our personal chat. But are you a plotter? I would assume with 2 interconnected series that there has to be some amount of organization and plotting. Do you keep a series Bible? How do you handle the process of writing?
I do keep a series Bible. By and large, back to the start. When I started, I was a pantster. I would pants my way through everything, and the pacing would be terrible, and the writing would be gloriously wonderful, obviously, because I'm not going to tell you it was rubbish. And I would get stuck halfway through. I'd get writer's block. I'd not know where the story. I'd write myself into a corner. I'd do all those terrible mistakes, and so I forced myself to learn to outline. And for 10 years, I'd been one of those people who argued that I was a pantster and that plotting interfered with my creative process, and it got in the way of the muse, and
I have absolutely no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah, scenes weren't fresh to me.
All those things that we say to ourselves.
Yeah, and then I forced myself to learn to outline, and lo and behold, my stories got a lot tighter, and now I don't outline anymore. I've internalized story structure so much that I just sit down and write a novel now, and I don't.
I do internal plotting. I always told everyone I'm a pantser. And then they would ask me, well, how do you write a story? Or your stories are always so complicated. You have to outline. And Elle and I were just chit-chatting, and I'm like, I had an epiphany that, like, I'm an internal plotter.
Yeah.
Like, it's always in my head. I always know where I'm going before I sit down to go there.
Yep.
Outliner. Oh my God. Shocker.
Yeah, bad news.
After I put down outliners all these years and said, no, pantsers rule, I'm mutineer.
I'm very sorry, everyone. Actually, I'm an outliner.
Yeah, sorry, everybody. I was wrong. I'm an outliner. Paulina, your turn.
Okay, sorry, I was writing. So,
how dare you?
You know what? Inspiration hit, and I found a plot hole that I had, and I hit it, and it works.
Nice.
So anyway, I write everywhere and anywhere, but so my topics are not going to have anything to do with writing, because writing is fun, yada yada yada. But I found out that you're a Doctor Who fan, so
the truth is out.
My first question is, who's your favorite Doctor?
Oh, oh, that's Trixie. Ah, favorite doctor.
I know, but everyone has that favorite doctor that they love, and then they have the doctor that they're like, "Ugh, is he going to regenerate yet? But don't regenerate. So who's your doctor that's like, you didn't want to see him regenerate?
Um, hmm. I didn't want to see Peter Davison go. I very much liked Peter Davison. I thought he was a great doctor. And I think the thing that, if you've only watched New Doctor Who, the thing to bear in mind was the idea of having such a young actor play the Doctor in the 80s was quite mind blowing. It was a role for older established actors.
Mhm.
I mean, William Hartnell was like a quote proper actor unquote. He was he was famous. He'd been on the stage. He did this Angry Sergeant Major thing, and Pat Troughton was a proper actor, and then Peter Davison. I'm sorry, Peter, but he wasn't very well known. He'd done like All
They were
Creatures Great and Small, where he played a very
they seem
young.
to be all grandfathers.
Yeah, exactly, and so there was a lot of hoo-ha in the press at the time about having a young doctor and how it would destroy the world and everything. But I really liked him, and I was sorry to see him go, and it was quite jarring to see him turn into Colin Baker as well, because of course
That turn when they do the morphing, yeah,
and it was
those are creepy.
the total antithesis of character, because Peter Davis's doctor was very calm. He was he wasn't that calm, but he was very kind and compassionate. And then you go on to Colin Baker, who was they tried to really bring out the alienness of the doctor in that incarnation, and so it was kind of chalk and cheese together. I liked
So
Sylvester McCoy. I liked him. I thought he was quite fun. I actually
honey,
don't.
you're supposed to pick one. You can't go
No, I
through all
like
of
all
them.
of them. I
Okay, fine. Is this easier? What was it? Who was your least favorite companion?
least favorite companion.
I hated Donna.
I didn't
Okay, continue.
really like Donna. I
Ugh,
liked I
what?
the pro-
What?
the problem
I'm
is
sorry.
I with Donna the character development got erased. And so you've stuck with this character even though she was not exactly likable to begin with. And I can't hold that against her because I've written unlikable characters, because character growth is a thing. And she grew and she changed throughout the entire series, and I liked her by the end, which is the whole purpose of character development. And then they just went and rubbed it out and hit the reset and put her back to the person that she was at the beginning. And you're like, well, what was the point of that? Why do I care now?
Yeah, true.
You've
So
also
who was your least favorite?
least favorite Adric. Poor Adric. I'm sorry, Matthew Waterhouse, but Adric.
Why?
Because he was an annoying little.
Yeah, he was kind of annoying.
Yeah, he was
Very.
I mean, it's bad when it's the first real on-screen companion death and you're cheering. Yeah, you're like, thank God for that, he is dead. We should go around thank the Cybermen now because they have killed Adric.
Like, high five. Wait, no, don't high five me because I don't want to be a Cyberman. But we'll try to high five you from far away.
Yeah.
Who's the scariest villain? Like, mine is honestly a Weeping Angels. I can't stand them, and if you show me a picture of them, I'll probably bite you.
Well, I don't know. Maybe I like the biting.
So,
One of my favorite episodes is the Sally Sparrow episode.
Oh, it's such a good episode.
That is such a good episode, and every time it would come on, my husband would be like, "You're watching this again?" And I'm like, the character development in this episode, like, this is probably some of the best writing.
Yes.
That they ever had. And she's a side character, and you may never see her again, and she doesn't matter, but like, she mattered so much. It was so good.
Yes, it was really. I think the problem with the Weeping Angels is they keep going back to them, and they keep changing how they work every time they go back to them. So the Sally
I think
Sparrow episode was absolutely
that's what makes them
fantastic.
scary.
No, it just makes them boring.
No. I'm saying, like, I think they're done with them. For
Yeah.
one, I think they're done. Because you have to remember, they revisit every single villain from the Cybermen to the Silence. So I mean, everything's going to be recycled because
Oh yeah.
he goes through time.
If it was popular, it's coming back. So
Yeah, he travels through time, so of course he's going to run into him again.
yeah.
It's not like he can. It's not like he can just do away with them. So I mean, little things like that. Okay, not my last question, but the most important question. What do you think about the new Doctor?
Jenna Coleman. I'm just checking what year I'm in.
Yeah, you've seen the change, right? You've seen the regeneration.
I have not.
You've seen that one, right?
I have not yet seen.
Oh my God! That's it. Oh God, that brings me. Okay, so we'll leave that one alone so that you can see it. I won't break it. But there's my whole point. Christmas specials. I hated last year's Christmas special. It was the worst Christmas special.
Up with it yet.
It was so bad. I got mad at it.
Yeah, I'm basically waiting for a bunch of people to tell me it's worth watching, and quite a few people are now telling me it's worth watching. So I'll set aside some time in like February.
It's worth it because when I first saw the current doctor, well, the past current doctor, whatever, I didn't like him. I was like, I hate you, not because he was older. Honestly, I didn't like his face, and I was like, you stupid. And now when he regenerated this episode, I was crying. I have to admit, I was literally crying because
I love you.
No, because every doctor has their goal. Like, one did a tour. He literally did such a heartfelt goodbye that I was like, don't go. I was crying. I was like, I'm going to have to use that goodbye.
I miss the good old days when doctors just died. None of this.
Yes, but you understand.
And visit 20 people while I cry into my tea.
No. He basically he sent a letter to himself.
Yeah.
Because remember, this is a new era for us because we've never had a female doctor. So I think it was more him trying. He was not only saying goodbye to himself. He was saying he was taking the watchers along with him. So it was kind of like, hello, welcome to a new era. Let's do this. And you're just like, oh my God, no. But I want to see, I'm sorry, I want to see the part where he figured out he has boobs. But he's like, oh shit, I got boobs. Lumps of what? Because it's always been a male.
Lumps of fat.
So I can't wait to find out.
What's the point of that?
I know. He's like, wait, what's this? I don't have a what?
Well,
I just think it'll be fun.
Technically, Time Lords reproduce asexually, so.
But still, they have to have the parts. I mean, it's still odd. Like, if you woke up one morning and you were a guy, and all of a sudden you're like, wait, what the fuck is that between my legs? You know what I mean? You're still going to be shocked. Like,
I don't know. I mean, that's an interesting question. Is they've never really portrayed regeneration as a dysphoria experience. It's been more sort of this is new and interesting, and I've got different teeth now, and my accent's changed, and I just need to spend a couple of days breaking in the new body,
Well, they never went from male to female either, so that's what's going to be cool.
Yeah, it'll be interesting.
I can't wait. Hopefully the Christmas special outdo them all. That's my biggest. But okay, before I leave. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I found the costume quite interesting. It's very cosplayable. I think it's been designed with an eye to cosplay.
What, hers?
Yes. Yeah, it's very
okay.
Rectangular.
Yeah.
The coat doesn't come in at the waist, so it's quite easy for a guy to cosplay.
I'm trying to think. Is she more steampunk?
It's
no.
Only in the trouser department. Wait,
it is almost steampunk. I'm gonna have to go back and look at, to actually see it because it was kind of a flash scene, and I still have it on my DVR. I'm gonna watch it at some point and see what happens. But before I go, I always want to write a story, a love story, like Rory's, a male like Rory.
Yeah.
No matter how he is, I swear to God, I'm like, find a man who will stand with you for thousands of years.
Yep. No, I like Rory. He's great.
Even though he was a Cyberman, he literally stood with her for thousands of years.
Yep.
And he never stopped being a Cyberman. I don't know how many people realize that. He never became non-Cyberman.
No.
Before
they took him away with...
exit the Doctor Who conversation, I do want to make one statement.
Go on then.
The death of Danny Pink.
Oh, don't. You will get me started. You will get me started.
Disappointment I have ever felt in my entire life. I wanted to punch the person who wrote that.
It was a crock of shit.
It was a total crock of shit.
Yes.
I was so upset. He was such a decent, good, worthy human being. Like, yes. But that was such a kick in the ass.
It's not just that. It's the fact that we've spent a season establishing the fact that this guy is ex-military. He is alert. He is trained. He has walked in on the Doctor fighting an alien. Danny has never seen an alien before in his life, but he immediately recognises the danger and jumps over this thing to kick it in the face.
I wanted to see him become
and he gets taken out by a fucking car.
He gets run over by a 90-year-old granny who can't have been doing more than 10 miles an hour because she's in a bloody school zone with a zebra crossing in it. So and when you actually cut back to the scene later on, the car is on the pavement, and I'm like, well, Danny was crossing the road, so she's obviously missed him. How is he dead? It was absolute
and everything that they did building Clara into his past, his present, his future. It's like
I thought it was going to be amazing.
Together. What the?
Yeah.
So upsetting. Like, to me, that is the biggest travesty.
Yeah.
In television history.
It was one of the things that, because I mean, I've been a Doctor Who fan since I was like this high, and it's one of the things that has made me stop being a Doctor Who fan. So
because it was done to further their vision of what was coming in the future. It wasn't done to satisfy the fans or satisfy the story.
Yeah, it made no story sense at all. Yeah.
No. It was just, we don't need him anymore.
Yeah, we need him to be a dead person so that you can see what happens from the dead person's point of view. And it's like,
I just had to make that point before we move on, but it's not all
they should have done it.
Rainbows and unicorns.
I think it's Electra's turn.
All right. So I was just wondering about your writing cave. Do you
my writing cave?
One? Your writing cave. I was kind of wondering, what is your most interesting thing in your writing cave that your fans might want to know?
Well, I can't show you any of it because I'm using the camera on my computer, so I can't pick it up. And it could be the drawer full of lipstick down here. No, they don't need to know about that. What do we have here? I've got a little fox.
Aww.
He came with some chocolate.
I'm very interested in your drawer of lipstick. Just so you know, I'm a huge makeup fan.
Lipstick.
Yes.
Some more lipstick. It's all here because it hasn't made it into the drawer yet.
I have tubs and tubs of makeup.
Yeah, yep. It's kind of out of control. I think the thing that some of my readers may recognise, because I posted on Facebook about this, because I waited 8 or 9 months from pre-order to arrival.
Oh, I love it, Dr. Strange. My favorite.
Yeah, I was in Tokyo around this time last year, and they have a Hot Toys showroom, and they had the prototype, and I was just like, oh, I need it. I don't have any other Hot Toys in my house, but I need this. When's it out? And they were like, 9 months, but you can pre-order it. I'm like, okay. I've never in my life pre-ordered a toy, but Sure, okay. I'm an adult. I'll do this.
That's the fun about being an adult. You can just buy your own toys.
I know, they don't tell you that when you're a kid. They're like, "Well, you're going to grow up and you're going to get a job and you're going to get married and have kids." And I'm like, "No, I'm not going to do any of that. I'm going to buy toys."
It's actually kind of interesting. Me and my husband had this conversation with Christmas, and he brings up every single year that he had asked for a clear motor car motor that he could build and put together, and it would actually work once you cranked it up and everything. His parents refused to buy it for him, and he brings it up every year when we go Christmas shopping for our kids. Just about, we have to get them what they want. Because that one year I did not get this. I refused to. Okay.
But you could have a whole evening of suck, squeeze, bang, blow.
So is there one thing that distracts you when you're writing?
Yes, here she is. Hello. She's giving me the eyes. Yeah, she does like to have a toy thrown for her quite frequently. So, but that's good because you take breaks in the writing and you need to stretch and exercise, so you may as well throw a toy. Yes.
Is
You're
she
gorgeous. She is
I
gorgeous.
take it she is a dog, a cat?
She is. Come here. Come here. Come here. I say come here. Good girl. Come here. Arr, 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 arr. There we go. What you doing? What you doing? Ah, you're biting me. Oh, I see. There we go.
So precious.
Oh, that's nice. Oh, belly rubs. There we go. Should we complete the interview with me on my lap? There we go. Good girl.
The only other question that I really had is more of maybe on the writing side for you is that do you find that there is like, do you bounce back and forth between your books and your characters? Is like one character just start getting so loud that you just have to get them out of your system before you can kind of go back to whatever your current work in progress is?
No, I can only work on one book at a time. I've tried bouncing between them. I've tried keeping multiple projects in the air at once, and I can't do it. Once I get into the voices that I need for the book that I'm writing, I have to continue writing that book. I can't swap voices. I can't get into another character's head. Are we turning around? Yeah, you're a good girl. There we go. Yeah, so no, I can only do one project at a time, sadly. Otherwise, I'd be able to keep many on the go and release them all at once, and I'd look super productive. But
Right. No, I wish I could do that myself.
this is not quite Blofeld's cat, is it? It's now, Mr. Bond, you die. Blofeld and a corgi, it would have been very different.
I think that was pretty much it for me. Ish, did you have anything?
Only because they make me.
You did sign up to co-host a podcast, sweetie.
And I have booze, so I'm good. So
okay.
Vampires. You mentioned that you wrote like vampires and wares, perhaps, maybe?
Werewolves, yep.
Okay. Those are very, very common. Big niche for them. Did you do that on purpose because you knew it was popular, or is that just something that you've always loved?
It's something I've always loved. I have been quite big on most supernatural things most of my life, and I really like the way that vampire mythologies around the world differ, and you can really sort of if you're creating your own vampires, you've got a hell of a lot of inspiration to pick and choose from. And so I quite liked the nitty gritty of working out exactly how my vampires work, how they function, what their society is like. how their bodies work. So yeah, I thought I'd do a very little spin on it. Oh, do we want down, sweetie? There you go. Arr, arr, good girl. Yes. So, and same with werewolves. But again, it's a very broad set of mythology across Europe. There's a lot to pick and choose from. So I went in and picked the bits I liked. Oh, here we go with the squeaking again.
Okay, would you ever consider, after you wrap these series up, if you ever do, I mean, they look like they could be long running, consider doing like a historical?
I've done a couple of historicals. I've done a couple of historical novellas because I just I I had these ideas in my head and they wouldn't shut up, so I had to stop and write a couple of historical novellas, but they weren't paranormal. I basically had a couple of World War I stories that I wanted to tell. But yeah, I do really like historical. The downside is the historical that I really like is World War One. So most readers are like, well, it's not Regency, so
Right.
Where are the dresses?
It's not quite historical yet, it's modern history.
Yeah.
So, well, I ask because I've actually run across a few. I like to read like shifters every now and again. And I ran across a book, and for the life of me, I can't remember the name of it.
Yeah.
But they had a very just awesome backstory of how the werewolf shifters came to be, and they actually had like this 2-chapter flashback.
Yeah.
Going back into the Regency era, which I'm a big history nerd. I majored in history, so I'm like, oh my god!
Yeah.
It was like turned out to be, actually it happened, the very first occurrence of the werewolf that started the shifters occurred in London.
Yeah.
Of course, because everything happens in London.
Always, yeah. London's cool.
Everything happens in London.
I look out the window. Yeah, London's really cold, actually.
and that's where the family tree had started, then of course spread out across the ocean and whatnot. So I thought that was very clever, and I remember thinking, gosh, wish I could get my hands on an actual historical that goes through this. So just curious with your love of the fantasy, if you would ever consider maybe creating your vampires and taking them back.
Probably. Give me 20 years. One day I'll wake up and I'll be like, oh, I know what I need.
He's always in for it. So I mean, I thought that was pretty cool. So your story, from what I can see, based on your website and what you talked about, might actually fit that. It could be probably finagled, maybe.
Yeah, and that's it. It's all stuff that's actually in the series Bible as well. So,
right. Well, that was it for me.
Thank you for gracing us with your presence today. So we're back to me, which means we're starting to round up the podcast. I did want to know of Electra's question. There are some little figurines behind you.
Oh, yes.
They're kind of above your head level. What figurines are those?
What do we have? Where's the dog so I don't roll over? Sebastian?
NCL? I just squeezed and peed my pants a little.
I think I've just pulled Sebastian off his base.
Black Butler.
Yes. In which case, you might also like... Hey kids, do you like log? 1 second, caller. Speaking of things I picked up in Tokyo.
He's one hell of a butler. Oh my God. My girls came running. They're like, what? A Sebastian?
Sebastian. The only problem is there's a CL that goes with him that has a base that slots into this one, and I could not find it for love nor money. So
is that an excuse to go back?
Yes, it is. Not that I ever need an excuse.
Right. So since we are at the end of the podcast, that means I've drank a glass of wine and I'm not going to be able to talk so good. Also means that we have a giveaway for any of our listeners. So Amelia has generously volunteered any one pick of ebook from her back catalog. Do you have a favorite book or book you like to recommend for someone who needs to start?
All of them. No. I would start either with Blind Man's Wolf or Jack of Thorns, as they're both the book ones of each series.
Okay. So, listener, if you would like a chance to win an ebook copy of one of those books or anything else from her catalog, if you have perchance read that book, leave a comment on our blog at focusonfantasyromance.wordpress.com, episode 61, this one, and ask Amelia a question, and that will enter you in a chance to win a copy of an ebook. We'll leave this open for 30 days, so February 20, we'll close it-ish. So, Amelia, why don't you tell our listeners where they can find you?
I'm on Tinternets at ameliafaulkner.com. I'm on Facebook as Amelia Faulkner Author. That's pretty much it. I am technically on Twitter, but I don't twit. Don't follow me on Twitter. I will get back to you 3 months later and go, sorry, I didn't notice this.
Yeah, I'm not a Twitter person
I
either.
don't Twitter.
I refer people from Twitter to Facebook.
Yeah. Well, the problem with Twitter is it's too live. It's too what's the word? It's too FOMO. So if you take your attention away from Twitter for 5 seconds, you might miss something important. But the problem with that is we're supposed to be writing. So
Exactly. Okay, well, thank you for joining us, Amelia.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
And listeners, if you like the podcast, please like, comment, and share. This has been episode number 61. Good night.
Good night.
Night.